I think that this might be one of the questions that people will disagree with us the most on.
Yeah.
And so I do think that this is a good conversation for every couple to have of like, hey, if we were to develop a crush on somebody else, would you want to hear about it? Hello and welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Xander Marin.
I'm a sex therapist with over 20 years of experience.
And I'm just a regular dude. We share the ups and downs in our relationship while giving you step-by-step techniques for improving yours.
Make sure you subscribe for your weekly double date full of totally doable sex tips, practical relationship advice, hilarious and honest stories of what really goes on behind closed bedroom doors, and so much more. It's the sex education you wish you'd had. Thanks to Cozy Earth for continuing to support Pillow Talks. Give the gift of a good night's rest with Cozy Earth. Get 35% off site-wide when you use code PILLOWTALKS at CozyEarth.com. This episode is sponsored by Uncommon Goods, an online shop dedicated to unique and high-quality gifts made by artists and independent businesses. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/pillow. And thanks to Jeju for supporting Pillow Talks. Jeju is a premium sex toy company that has been encouraging individuals to explore their bodies since 2005. Go to JEJOUE.com for their Black Friday sale that runs from November 10th to November 30th for up to 50% off. Today, we are going to attempt to answer the question, how honest is too honest?
Ooh.
So I feel like this is a line that you hear often during couples arguments. But I was just being honest.
Yeah, like I should be celebrated for telling the truth.
And because, I mean, we do get taught that honesty is a good thing. Honesty is the best policy.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, like we're supposed to be honest, right? So we might start off with these good intentions, like I'm just trying to be honest. This is a good thing, right? But we do think that there is a line where honesty crosses over into cruelty. And maybe it wasn't even the intention. I think in the majority of these cases, like people aren't meaning to be jerks to each other, but we prioritize honesty over considering the impact of our words on our partner. So we put this question out to Instagram. We said, tell us about a situation where you have said something to your partner or your partner has said something to you that left you just wondering, was that too honest? Like, was it actually valuable for either one of us to say that thing that we said, or maybe should we have just kept our mouths shut?
And it's not always this binary of like, should you say it or should you not say it? I think so often it's about the delivery of what it is that you are trying to say. Like there's a way to say it. Maybe it's not, you don't say the whole thing all at once, but it's like you ease your way into it. You tee up the conversation rather than just going all in on like, yeah, actually I felt this way for 5 years and I haven't told you and now I'm telling you and I hate this, I hate your best friend and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm like trying to come up with examples like without like jumping ahead to what we're going to talk about.
Okay, so here's the thing though. So we put that question box up on Instagram. One of our team members and I went through the box and we selected the questions. Xander has not seen any of the scenarios.
Blissfully in the dark.
So, and the two of us obviously like have not talked about the scenarios. So
sure haven't.
You're going to get our live opinions in the middle of this episode.
But you're going to get Xander being honest about what he thinks. And will I be too honest? I don't know. I guess
we'll
you
see.
can judge me. Is Xander being too honest?
Yeah, I'll make you answer all of them first, and then I'll tell you, was that too honest or not honest enough?
Wow, that's kind of meta. Like, is Xander being too honest about being too honest about other people being too honest or maybe not too honest?
We'll see.
Should that be the episode title, what I just said?
Yeah, I think that'll really make people want to listen to it for sure. So I will also say, I think this is a great episode to listen to with your partner, a great way to introduce them to the podcast. I think it's really fun with scenarios like these to like listen to the scenario, pause the episode, the two of you talk about it. Like, what do you think? Was it too honest? Was it not too honest? And then press play and listen to our reactions. It's just like a fun conversation starter while you're making dinner, maybe like on a road trip, in the car, anything like that.
This is also a really sneaky way to work on your communication together without it feeling like, oh, we have to work on our communication, because you're able to talk kind of more objectively or talk about a third party, talk about other people who aren't you, and talk about, if I were in this situation, this is how I would say this. And your partner can be like, oh, well, if you were to say it like that, then maybe I would feel this way or that way. So it's like a way to kind of like play the game tape and dig into it without there being any kind of personal feelings attached, because it's not something that either of you did or said, but you still get those reps of like, like this is what, like I see what would have worked or what wouldn't have worked. And it's easy to start applying that in real life of like, oh yeah, okay, so if I were to say something similar to that, Vanessa might be pissed off. Or, maybe I should take this approach that she mentioned as like, this would feel better to me. But first, we're going to hit you with some more honesty, which is our review of the week, your honest opinion about our podcast. Would it be hilarious if this was the week that we got like a really mean review? Oh my God, that would be so sad.
We should have done that. I mean, like, was this review too honest?
That was a missed opportunity, I'm going to say. I wasn't involved in this because, we wanted it to be a surprise for me. But sometimes you're honest with me about my transitions into review of the week not being the best. So I'm just going to say that was a missed opportunity. So next time we do round 2 of how honest is too honest, well, hit us with a bad review. I don't think we have a lot of bad reviews.
I don't think we do, fortunately. We have great reviews, and we really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Let's not challenge people to write your worst. Okay, Slump Smasher. Smasher.
Slump Smasher.
Wow. After 4+ years of pregnancy, raising babies, and toddlers, we struggled in our relationship to connect as a couple. We were good at parenting together, but when it came to a relationship, we didn't have it in us. The podcast opened up a conversation, and we figured out we were feeling the same thing. Even starting the conversation made a huge difference. I no longer felt like it was just my fault I wasn't wanting to be intimate. Vanessa and Xander helped us feel normal and open to work on our relationship. I love the parent-specific episodes as they are so relatable. They also talk about things nobody else will. So reassuring. Thank you, VNX, for saving us from a 4-year slump. We smashed that slump for them, babe.
That's amazing.
Or maybe they smashed their way out of the slump.
They did.
They smushed their way out of the slump.
Thank you so much for taking the time to leave this review. And this is exactly why reviews are so important. Like, can you imagine being in a similar situation? You're looking for podcasts, trying to find something that will help. You stumble across this Pillow Talks podcast thing, and you read something like that. Like, that's so normalizing, and it really makes you think like, okay, this is going to be worth my time. Let me check out this episode. Yeah. So this is why we value these reviews so much. It's not just to like blow up our egos and make us feel good about ourselves. Like, it really helps the podcast get in front of more people. It helps more people want to check it out and feel like they can trust us. So we appreciate it so much. If you have ever gotten a tip from a single episode that helped your life, we would be so appreciative if you could leave a review for the podcast. So here's how to do it. You go over to the main Pillow Talks page on Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see the review section right there. So you just type in your review right there, and then we will automatically enter you into a giveaway every week going forward. So if you hear your review read in an episode, you can email us at info@vmtherapy.com, and you will get to pick a prize. We do a little prize every single week, just as our way of saying thank you for taking the time to support the podcast. All right, let's get into it.
Hit me with that honesty.
Let me read you the first scenario. My partner has a very toxic, unhealthy relationship with her dad, but she acts just like him when she's upset and angry, and can be pretty mean to me when she's in that mode, which is exactly what her father did. I want to tell her she's acting just like him, but I feel it would upset her so much because she so badly doesn't want to be anything like him or have anything to do with him. She would be mortified. But a part of me thinks she does need to hear it, though.
Oh,
Xander, what do you think? So this is a good one. This person has not said it yet.
yeah,
But
that's good.
Would it be too honest to tell your partner you are acting exactly like your dad, who you do not like?
Okay, here's what I think. I think that if this person were to wait until the next time she is mean to him like that and then drop this on her, hey, that doesn't feel good, and actually you're kind of doing the thing that your dad does that you always talk about hating, I think that might be a little too much. I think that there's a way to tee this up better than that.
Okay, wait, so your hot take is too honest.
This one's so tricky because it's like, look, if I were in this situation and you were just like really, really mean to me and I feel like I were to snap kind of and just say it, I don't think it would be really, it's not like too honest, but I do think there's a better way. There's a better way to do this.
Ooh, interesting. We are disagreeing right off the bat. I think this is way too honest.
Okay.
I say too honest. I think you absolutely should call your partner out on bad behavior when they are upset or angry. Like,
Yes.
It's not okay if they're being mean to you or, whatever else the details are. So you need to talk about that. But do not say you're acting just like your dad. Like, that sentence, for somebody who has a difficult relationship with their parent, that sentence is just going to send them straight into angry and defensive mode. And they are not going to hear a word of what you are saying about their behaviors. So I just think that it's completely unhelpful. It's not going to go over well. It's not going to be effective. And I do think it's cruel.
Yeah.
And again, the original, this person, they should not be acting angry and upset and mean to you. That's not okay. But if this is a sore spot for my partner and I'm just going to poke it anyways, that's mean. I think that's mean.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this person needs to very quickly start talking about what doesn't feel good to them when their partner is mean to them. In those moments and calling out, hey, center it on you and how that feels to you. Don't center it on them and how what they're doing is like what their dad does. Because in a way, it's like, well, who cares what their dad does? The important thing is your partner is being mean to you and that doesn't feel good to you. That's not the type of relationship that you want to have, right? So you got to start talking about, making sure they are aware that, hey, this thing keeps happening and it doesn't feel good to me when that happens.
I have a slight issue, though, with what you said, centered on you rather than on them. You definitely want to share your experience, but if your partner is being and obviously we don't know the details, and that's the challenge of doing any sort of episode like this. I forgot to give the little disclaimer at the top. It's we're just getting the little DM that somebody is sending to us. We don't know. Obviously, there's years or decades of history behind this, so we're looking at a small piece of it. But I do think if there's something, let's say the partner is calling them names or something like that. I think they need to say hey, calling me names is unacceptable. I won't stand for that kind of behavior.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. To be clear, I 100% agree with you. I wasn't trying to not say that at all. But what I mean is each time from here on out that their partner is mean to them, calling them names, whatever it is. I mean, it's hard to say. They don't really say, is it name calling or what? It's just she's pretty mean when she gets into this mode.
Yeah.
Is that it's going to be so much more productive for you, for your partner to become aware of, you're doing this thing right now where you're getting really mean and that doesn't feel good to me. That's not an acceptable way. That doesn't feel like an acceptable way for us to communicate. And I mean, maybe the next level of that is hey, this is something that seems to happen a lot. It seems like you're in totally fine spirits and then all of a sudden something flips and then you get into this mean place. I think that would be the next level of it is hey, this is a trend. You can talk about this entire thing and how it's a trend or a pattern without even bringing the dad into it. And honestly, I feel like she is likely at a certain point to make that connection.
Here's a sneaky thing that you can do is the next time that she complains about her dad and the things that he's doing or saying to her, ask her some questions about that. what does that feel like for you? And what came up for you when he said that? So it's like you're kind of trying to get her to be a little bit more thoughtful about what the experience is like for her. And, and maybe she'll be able to, in that moment, see like, ooh, this is actually something that I might be doing as well.
Yeah, and another idea, I'm curious what you think about this, Vanessa. Another idea would be you could try to use similar language when you talk about her experience with her dad, and then use similar or the same language when you're talking to her about this thing that is happening between the two of you. So if it's like, she's talking about, this argument that she got into with her dad, you could be like, so it's like everything was fine, and then like he snapped and he got really mean. So it's like you're saying snapped and got mean. And so then the next time she does that to you, you can say, it's like it's feeling like I'm feeling confused because it seems like kind of something snapped and then you got really mean and I'm not sure what's going on. So I think that could be one way to tie it together. I wouldn't come up with a really like niche phrase where it's like obvious, but it's like, if you're using that same language, that's totally fair and that's totally honest because that is exactly what's happening. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, you could try that. I'm not sure exactly how it would go, but you could try that. I think another thing that you could try is to talk about your own relationship with like similarities that you notice in yourself and your parents. Because all of us emulate our parents in certain ways. Like that's just psychology 101.
I'm not surprised that this is happening.
Yeah, I mean our parents serve as our role models and our examples, and all of us imitate our parents. The good behaviors and some of the bad behaviors.
Yeah, we really don't want to be like them.
Yeah. So if there's anything that you notice about yourself of like, I struggle with being confrontational, just like my mom, where you're kind of opening the conversation, you're being self-reflective, talking about it. Don't make it too pointed. Like, do you notice anything that you do that might be kind of similar to your dad? Wink, wink, hint, hint, hint. But I think if you're genuinely approaching it from like a place of introspection and curiosity about yourself and like trying to have this objective conversation, not being too leading about it, that could be interesting too.
All right. Moving on to our next one. My partner randomly told me one night he does not like to perform oral sex. I tried to get curious and ask questions, and his response was that once, when going down on me, he found my smell unpleasant. He told me that he did some research and learned that my smell is largely attributed to my diet and potentially some things beyond my control. He suggested that I might try showering both in the morning and at night to help. I told him I found this very hurtful and that I felt ashamed. He couldn't understand why I was hurt. He was only being honest, and wasn't it important to be honest? I found that the whole thing completely lacked empathy and kindness.
I think my answer is very obvious from the noises that I could not prevent myself from making while you read that. This is way too honest.
Yes. We're
in agreement here.
Yes. Well, also, I mean, the really ridiculous thing is that what the person is saying is that one time he noticed a smell. This person is not saying, like I've noticed that, over time that it's like, it's still messed up regardless of that, but it's not like, like every single time it's this smell and it's different from before and it's the pattern. It's like, one time this was unpleasant.
My guess is that this is a person who's really inexperienced with oral sex, who doesn't realize that vulvas are meant to smell and taste like vulvas, not like bubble gum or candy apple or any of that other bullshit out there.
And also that smell can change like throughout the cycle as well. Like,
I don't think this is an issue of like she actually smells or she has some sort of infection or something like that. Like, I think her partner was really inexperienced. And I think, the way of delivering this is really bad. To have like, to say it's unpleasant, to then say I did research. Like, I would be mortified if you told me I did research. Like, I was Googling, why do you smell so bad?
Yeah, because I know more about your body than you do now because I went on Google and
And then to suggest showering twice a day, which by the way is actually quite unhealthy for your body. That's actually going to lead, ironically, to more odor if you're showering that often. But to like suggest that, like the whole thing is just straight up bad. So way too honest. I want to kind of go there with this example though.
Okay.
Because we've had something similar that happened in our relationship.
We have.
Okay, so I'm going to tell this. Definitely never told this story on the podcast before. I was not planning on telling this story on the podcast, but we will go there.
In the interest of honesty.
In the interest of honesty.
Is it going to be too honest? I don't know.
Okay. So there was one time early in our relationship, back when I was still using tampons, which now I have happily switched to a menstrual cup long ago, but I forgot about that last tampon. Everybody who has a vulva, you know about that last tampon of your cycle. It's like, you're barely hanging on there. It's just soaking up a little bit. And
you're like, one more for good luck.
One more for good luck. And you know what? I forgot about it. And it was up in there for a little while. And so there was one time that we were having sex where I noticed that there was an odor that smelled different than it normally did. But I was just like, I don't really know what that is, but whatever. And you stopped in the middle of sex and you said, I actually can't remember the exact words, but I think you're like, oh, babe, man, I'm really sorry, but like something just smells different. That's the word that you said, different.
I think that I was trying to be very careful with my words.
You were, and I could tell both the delivery of it, like it was.
I was nervous.
I know you were really nervous, and you said it very delicately, and you did say the word different because I remember that. Obviously, in that moment, like I realized the second that you said it, like something snapped in my brain, and I was like, the tampon, and it had been in there for like 2 days at that point, and like it was not a good situation. So I instantly recognized what it was, and I was mortified. Like this is hands down one of the most embarrassing experiences of my life. I again cannot quite believe that I'm selling this on this podcast, but I feel like a lot of people have had this experience too. So yeah, that was awful for me, and I can really empathize with how that must have been really challenging for you. Like there was an odor, it was different than it normally was, and like for you to be sitting there in that moment of like, do I say something or do I not say something? Like, I kind of think something is off. And so I do want to empathize with anybody who's had the experience of like, yeah, there's something. I think you started off the question talking a little bit about this, like, is something different from what it normally is? So again, like we want to normalize vulvas smell and taste like organs. They are not meant to like taste delicious. Like they don't taste or smell bad. Yeah, we just really like to normalize like bodies smell like bodies.
Yeah,
right?
and like dude out there, I'm sure you're not listening to this podcast, but I can promise you that your junk doesn't taste like roses either, and that some days it tastes one way and other days it tastes another. Maybe you
bodies
sweat
taste like bodies
a little bit. Like it's not. Yeah, it's like your dick is not God's gift to men. To women.
But like I also just, I want to normalize too, like the tampon thing can happen, infections can happen, STIs can happen, like, especially with the vagina, the pH balance can be really delicate and it can get thrown off. So I understand like that vulnerable position of like noticing that your partner's odor is different and like not knowing exactly how to approach them. But again, the way that this guy did it is just, everything's wrong about this.
Yeah, I mean, and also like what I was saying is that like things can change throughout the cycle. I think there was a time somewhat recently where, before you got your IUD out, your cycle was like a bit variable, so you didn't always know like exactly when your period was coming. And I believe somewhat recently, like I was going down on you, and then we had sex, and then afterwards you were like, oh, whoops, like my period just came, and like I noticed like a bit of a more metallic flavor. I don't know what the right word is, but it's like that's just part of the deal. Like that's what we signed up for.
Tell the real story. If we're being honest, tell the real story.
Well, I don't know. What is there any more?
I sat on your face. It wasn't that you just went down on me. I sat on your face and made you go down on me, and you knew that I was like had started my period or something like that.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, you did.
How would I have known?
Or something was.
No, it was afterwards. You were like, "Oh, whoops."
Yeah, and then afterwards I was like, "Oh my God!" I sat on his face and made him go down on me while I had just started my period.
it wasn't bloody.
No, it wasn't like full on, but there was like, I mean, and we talk about this a lot too, like even with sex
There's,
in
like,
the middle
really
of your
nothing.
period, there's very little menstrual fluid that's actually coming out if you
Yeah.
do the math, which we have. And it was at the very beginning of my period. So it was like,
Yeah.
it was hardly anything, but it was like,
There was a
enough
bit of
to-
a, like, you know, metallic or
Yeah,
I
a
don't know,
little metallic.
iron. I don't really know what iron tastes like.
From
I'm just
menstrual
assuming. But I mean, it's just like, yeah, like that, like shit happens. It's not like disgusting. It's just like, oh, that's different. You know, like everything, like bodies change. Like I don't know. Guys out there, you got to do better. Got to do better.
Oh my God, I did not expect that this was going to be us telling our most embarrassing stories in the middle of the podcast. Also, I think that one of the dogs just farted quite loudly. So I just want to make it clear in case
You
that
wanna
came
clear
up.
the air?
I want to clear the air that in case that sound came up on the mics, that was a dog.
Oh, I didn't hear a thing.
Okay, I'll read you the next one.
Okay.
I unintentionally got a crush on a classmate while in a relationship with a long distance partner. My partner and I always told each other cheating is a deal breaker. I never cheated, but the crush felt like I was being dishonest to my partner, so I told him I had a crush on a classmate. He was so upset, sad, and insecure after I told him and was worried about me cheating. I told him because I thought it would be good to be honest, and I thought me telling him would show him that I had no plans to act on it. But instead, it hurt and worried him. I felt so bad for hurting him with my honesty. Was it too honest for this person to tell their partner that they had a crush?
This is tricky. So my gut says yes. It's too honest. Then again, I don't really know what exactly constitutes like a crush. Like, is it just that this person has been looking at this person and thinking about them? Or like, have they been talking and flirting and like messaging with each other? But I guess it really comes down to almost like, what are the bounds of your relationship? What are the expectations of your relationship? I mean, I think that it's fairly normal. It's fairly normal for people to get kind of minor crushes, I guess, or like, it's so hard to tell what exactly is meant by the word crush.
I think this is very mild. I think the person who wrote this like was just a little attracted to somebody, but the way that they wrote it, I don't think, I mean, they make clear to say multiple times, like, I never was going to act on it. So I think this is something small. I think that this was too honest. I do believe that having crushes when you're in a relationship is normal. It's common. It's nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed of. Like, we can't control the feelings that we have for people. And if we spend time with somebody and they're attractive and they're kind and funny or whatever it is, like, you're gonna have a little bit of a like, ooh, what if kind of thing. Like, that's very normal. Of course, it's a problem if you're actively, and everybody's going to have different like guidelines about what feels appropriate and inappropriate in their relationship. But like, obviously, if you have a crush and you're like trying to spend time alone with them or flirting with them or like trying to make something happen, obviously that's an issue. But if it's just like, I have a little bit of a crush on somebody, I have some feelings for somebody, I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of, because again, it's not something that we have control of. So I understand the desire to like this person was probably feeling guilty and like, let me just share this and get it out in the open so it doesn't feel like this shameful secret. But I do think that it's just not something that we need to tell our partners, because I don't think it does any good. Like, of course your partner is going to worry like, wait, you have a crush on somebody and we're long distance and you're seeing this other person all the time.
Yeah, like for you to tell me, it must be really serious.
Exactly.
I think this person is thinking, oh, they're just going to, oh, yeah, because I'm telling you it's really minor. And the other person's like, wait.
You're telling me, so it must be a big deal.
You're telling me, so this must be bigger than you're saying that it is.
Yeah. So I think like telling somebody, not telling your partner about a crush, I don't think that is being secretive or anything like that. I think it's just
being human.
I just think it's not like, I don't think there's any benefit to telling your partner that you have a crush. I don't think it does anything good for your partner or for the relationship. So I think that that's something that's kinder and healthier to not share.
Yeah. I mean, I think crushes also like they come and go. Right? Like,
yeah.
Often it's like, oh, I don't know, you meet someone new or something and it's like for a week or something, you're like, oh, this person's really interesting, or like, oh, they're really attractive or whatever. And in my experience, usually after a couple of weeks, you get to know the person a little better or whatever. You see them in a different light, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that thing that often that crush is like, it's the not knowing very much about someone, and you start to kind of project all these ideas on them. And then usually once you get to know somebody a little better, you're like, oh yeah, okay, they're just like any other person that I know. So I think there's that. And if you were to say, like, you can't get rid of this crush and it's going on and on and on, or like you've had a crush on this person for years and you can't stop thinking about them, I mean, I would go maybe like talk to a friend or a therapist about that first, maybe before you go talk to your partner about it. Like, see if you can nip that thing in the bud. I mean, what I was also going to say is like, yeah, okay, if you are in a relationship where you guys have talked very clearly about like, it is not okay for us to ever be attracted to anybody else, then yeah, this is a problem. And I guess it's good that you told your partner. I would not recommend that anybody get into a relationship where that's the standard, because I don't think that that's realistic.
It's not something that we have control over. You can't force yourself to like or not like somebody. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
But there, I think, are a lot of people that are in relationships with unreasonable expectations of that. And so I can understand how this person felt like, oh my God, I'm doing something horribly wrong and I have to tell about it. So I think that this is so important at the beginning of relationships to talk about this. I know you and I talked about this, where it's like, yeah, like we have eyes that work. We see people. It's like, it's okay to look at somebody. It's okay to be attracted to someone. It's almost like, honestly, it's helpful to talk to your partner. Like, hey, do you think this person is attractive? Like, I think they're kind of cute or pretty hot or whatever, just to kind of take some of that charge away from it.
I think that this might be one of the questions that people will disagree with us the most on.
Yeah.
And so I do think that this is a good conversation for every couple to have, of like, hey, if we were to develop a crush on somebody else, would you want to hear about it? Because I want to acknowledge, like, people are going to have very different feelings about this. There are some couples who'd be like, yeah, I want to hear about it because that actually turns me on.
Yeah, it brings a little charge into the relationship.
Yeah, whereas other people are like, do not tell me about it. I don't want to know. That's just going to like hurt my feelings and make me feel paranoid. So this is a great example of something to like pause this episode, talk about this with your partner. Like, would you want to know? Would you not want to know? So actually, Xander, would you want to know if I have a crush on someone?
Oh, I mean, I know that you have crushes on people, and I know who they are.
Well, not celebrities. Celebrities don't count.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
If it was somebody in our life, like a friend of ours, if I said I had a crush.
I think I would.
The question is, would you want to know? Not would you be fine knowing?
Oh, God. I mean, I guess I wouldn't really want it. I wouldn't really, if it was someone that's close to us. If it's someone that's like close to us that we see a lot, I probably would not, because then it would kind of take on a different tone when we would be around that person. I mean, God, is this like kind of messed up and gendered in a way? Like, I have actually, if it was a woman, I would have zero problem. Absolutely zero problem. I feel very confident in what I bring to the table.
A penis.
For whatever reason, that just doesn't, I know that you're attracted to women, and it doesn't compute in my brain.
Okay.
But,
I don't really want to know if you have a crush.
Okay.
Like a celebrity or something like that, sure, whatever. But yeah, if it's like somebody in our life that we're seeing regularly. Well, here's the thing. I think there's a big difference between saying I think someone is attractive and I have a crush.
Yes, I don't care if you say
I don't care if you say someone's attractive. I think it's kind of fun to talk about people that we think are attractive. And like, I ask you that all the time. Like, we'll be watching a reality show or something, and I'm like The Bachelor, and I'm like, which of these women do you think is the prettiest? Like, I actually like to know that.
The answer is almost always no. None of the above.
But yeah, if it was like saying I have a crush on somebody, that I'd be like, nah, I don't really like, I don't care to know. I wouldn't choose to know about that.
Actually, I guess I would revise mine to be the same.
Okay.
I'm okay with, attractive. I'm only okay with female crushes.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right, I want to read this one to you again because I want to get your hot take on it first. Okay. My husband has been laid off from his last 2 jobs. I felt I needed to be honest and asked whether he had a blind spot for anything that he could do better with at work. I don't think it's supportive if I blindly take his side at all times and just assume it was all his employer's fault. But it really hurt him to think I questioned his competence at work. So I wanted to read this one to you in particular because I do think there's something about like a man and his competence
at work.
So as a man, do you think this is being too honest?
I'm going to say yes. I think that this is too honest. I would say that this is more of a too honest in a wrong place, wrong time situation. I think that this is a somewhat acceptable. I would still word it maybe a little different. I think this is an acceptable conversation to have before someone has been fired. I think if someone has already been fired from a job, I think it is a bit rubbing salt in the wounds to be like, unless the person who has been fired is asking, hey, like, what do you think I could have done different? Or is being introspective and asking for your advice. Mm-hmm. I think it is a bit cruel to be like, all right, buddy, tell me what you could have done better. I think that's a little hard. I do think that, if you are struggling in your job, or maybe you've had a poor performance review or something, I do think that there is an okay way to kind of talk about, to not necessarily blindly take your partner's side and like, oh man, your boss just must be really out to get you. I'm just like, I wonder, are there any things that are in your control in this situation? I would put it more in that way, in framing it like, what things could be in your control to, improve the situation? Because with jobs, it's so easy to deflect and be like, oh, well, it's my boss, it's my boss's boss, it's the company, blah, blah, blah. It's all these external things that are causing you problems. And I do think that it's okay to try to reframe it and be like, okay, yeah, of course there's always external things happening, but is there anything that's within your control that, could be done differently or that you could try different? But after this has happened, I don't know, it feels tough.
Yeah, I feel a little bit torn on this one. I do think it's too honest. But I do sort of agree with this person that just blindly taking your partner's side at all times isn't actually supportive. I think part of a true partnership is being willing to ask tough questions and to encourage each other to grow and be our best selves, not just you're perfect and everybody else is an idiot and what were they thinking kind of thing.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
But yeah, I think that and this is one where I just really want more details. I think how you ask these questions really matters. So I think if your partner came home and said I just got laid off from work, of course you should ask oh my God, what happened? And want to get the story and ask them well, what did you think about that? Do you think that's fair? That kind of stuff. So ask some questions about it. But yeah, I think that it feels like asking it do you have a blind spot does feel a little bit condescending to me.
Yes. Well, because also if you were to say that to me, hey, do you think maybe you have a blind spot for things you could do better? The first thing I would think is it's a leading question. It sounds like you got a bunch of ideas.
Yeah, you think,
and you're testing me. Oh, can you come up with the stuff that I already have?
Yeah.
So it's if you have some ideas, then maybe you could ask, hey, might you be open to some feedback? And then if they are open, you could share some ideas. But saying something like that. Yeah. I'm guessing this person doesn't actually have, it sounds like there's a poor choice of words, perhaps, because they're not saying, oh, I actually have a suspicion that it was these things that they did.
Yeah.
They're trying to cue their partner to be introspective. But I think that, the time for being introspective is in a moment where you actually can do something about it, which is before you've been laid off.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just a rubbing salt in the wound at this
Yeah,
point.
like if the partner came home and was like, "Oh, I had my performance review today," and like, they said all this stuff, like, yeah, then that's a great time to say like, "Oh, how do you feel about that? Does that feel like, reasonable feedback? Like, do you want any advice? Do we want to like work, is there any way I can support you? Yada yada." But yeah, saying it right after they've been fired. And again, the timing of this one really matters too. Like if it literally was like your husband came home and said he got fired and you're like, "Do you have any blind spots?" Like that's going to be very hurtful. The day that your partner gets fired, that's just for empathy and compassion and like, "I'm so sorry, like I'm here for you," yada yada. You can loop back around to these conversations later. Or another good time to talk about it would be like when your partner's applying to jobs.
Yeah.
Asking them at that point like, "Yeah, is there anything that you want to be different about this job than the last one?" But I also think this is a good example of a time when it's important to ask your partner like, "Do you just want to vent right now, or do you want
I was waiting to
some
drop
advice?"
this. I was waiting to drop this
Yeah.
in. I mean, I think that's a great thing, whether it's before they've lost the job or after they've lost the job. I think that, it's, especially with your partner, it's give feedback if your partner's open to receiving feedback or advice or whatever. And that's why it's so important to be like, whether it's, "Oh God, I just had the worst performance review. Like my boss said this really mean thing to me," or "I got fired," and whatever, is, "Hey, like, well, what are you needing from me right now? Are you just looking to vent about this and looking for some support? Or are you looking like for like some problem solving or advice or feedback or questions?" And that's a way, because very likely, especially if this person got upset by this conversation, they were probably looking to vent. And so not only did they not get to vent, they then got this very leading question asked and then felt even worse about themselves. And so, yeah, I mean, and I think that you kind of have to respect that as a partner. If your partner is not ever open to the feedback, then like, yeah, maybe maybe you shouldn't give it.
Yeah.
But but if that's bothering you and that's a pattern time after time after time, then yeah, maybe that's like maybe that's a sign that this relationship isn't really going to work, because there's not a possibility for ever giving feedback. But I think it's just something to consider.
Before we go any further, we want to tell you a little bit more about Cozy Earth. So if you've been following us on Instagram at Vanessa and Xander, you have seen that we are living temporarily in a rental house while we get some work done at our house. And one of the things that I am missing the most about our home is our Cozy Earth sheets. We have been huge fans of Cozy Earth sheets for such a long time. We have tried so many different sheet sets, and the sheet sets that we have at the rental, just nothing compares to our Cozy Earth sheets. We love working with Cozy Earth, and they are offering you a 35% off site-wide discount when you use the code PILLOWTALKS at CozyEarth.com. We are fans of their linen sheet set. They have a couple of different varieties of sheets. The linen ones are our absolute favorite ones. If you like linen, it has like just a little bit more texture to it, but Cozy Earth also makes them so incredibly soft. They're not scratchy or stiff the ways that other linen sheets can be. Cozy Earth sheets are made from ethically sourced viscose from bamboo, and their bedding is naturally breathable and temperature regulating. They have been featured on Oprah's Favorite Things many times, and all of their products come with a 10-year warranty. Give a cozy gift this holiday season. Cozy Earth provided an exclusive offer for Pillow Talks listeners today. Get 35% off site-wide when you use the code PILLOWTALKS at CozyEarth.com. That's CozyEarth.com. And let's tell you a little bit more about Uncommon Goods. It is officially time to kickstart your holiday shopping, but don't panic. Uncommon Goods is here to make your holiday shopping stress-free. They have scoured the globe for the most remarkable and truly unique gifts for everyone on your list. We are so excited to have Uncommon Goods as a new podcast sponsor. I shared a few weeks ago that we actually bought a birthday gift for our brother-in-law on Uncommon Goods. And then just a couple of weeks later, they approached us to be a podcast sponsor. So the timing has just been so perfect. I'm glad that we got the experience of finding their site, finding this incredibly unique gift. It was a 3D train puzzle, which our brother-in-law absolutely loved, made me feel like a total rock star gift giver. And now I'm really excited to do all of my Christmas shopping on Uncommon Goods. If you've never heard of them before, they're an online shop dedicated to unique and high quality gifts made by artists and small independent businesses. Most of the items are handmade or made in the US, and they have so much art, jewelry, kitchen, home goods, bar stuff. Like, there's something special to choose from for everyone. They even have uncommon experiences, which are more than just virtual classes. They are unexpected opportunities to have fun and connect in new ways, from tarot card reading to romantic map making, cooking, mixology classes, and so much more. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 back to a nonprofit partner of your choice. And to date, they have donated more than $2.5 million. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/pillow. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. That is 15% off at uncommongoods.com/pillow. And finally, let's tell you a little bit more about Jeju. I have to tell you, as a sex therapist, I get sent every sex toy under the sun. Companies always want me to test out their toys and to promote them, obviously, to our community. And I will be honest, the vast majority of the toys that we receive, I'm not a fan of. Like, I just don't think the quality is high enough, and I'm really picky about the toys that I recommend to our community. And for years, like way before Jeju ever approached us to be a podcast sponsor, they're a brand new sponsor, but for years, they are one of the few companies that I have been recommending to people. Their toys are so high quality. They are made from body safe materials, which is an extremely important fact that most people don't realize. A lot of toys out there are made with materials that actually aren't safe for your body. And obviously, you are using toys on the most intimate part of your body, so we need to have them made out of body-safe materials. Jeju is a premium sex toy company that has been in operation since 2005, always using body-safe materials. They also have a really unique low-frequency motor where the vibrations travel further into your body and can create a more intense stimulation all throughout your body. Their toys are whisper quiet, have 5 different speeds, 7 vibrational patterns. They're 100% waterproof, 100% vegan, and rechargeable. If you're looking for a unique gift this holiday season, they also have some amazing kits. One of them is their couples kit, which combines their Mio cock ring vibrator with a bullet vibrator. So it's just like very fun gift to give to your partner. They're beautifully wrapped and presented. The quality of these toys is just so high. I can't say enough good things about them. So I'm really excited for you to get to explore Jeju as well. And there is no better time than now when they're doing their Black Friday sale. Go to jejoue.com for their Black Friday sale that runs from November 10th to November 30th for up to 50% off. That's jeju.com for their Black Friday sale.
All right, Vanessa, what do you think about this one? I told my partner I didn't like my engagement ring. I told him it was fine, but not what I would have picked. When we continued talking, he said he got it because he liked it and thought I would like it too. Not that he thought I would like it, which hurt me. I had the expectation this was something that would be all mine and my preferences would be the only thought. This is such a good one.
This is really interesting. I will skirt this question and just say, this is why I recommend engagement ring shopping together.
Yep.
That is what we did. I got to pick. I was like, yeah, I'm wearing this ring on my hand for the rest of my life. Ironically, I'm not wearing it right at this moment.
Wow, rude.
I have my wedding ring on. Sometimes I just wear the band.
Okay, fair.
But I was like, I'm wearing this ring for the rest of my life. I want to like it. And I think this is the prime example of an area where we fall into the trap of thinking our partner should be able to read our minds. Most partners, no matter how thoughtful and kind they are not going to magically know the exact style of ring that you like. And especially if you have a male partner, like most men don't know shit about rings,
No,
and
he's probably never looked at a ring before in his life. He
yeah, and he's just
no
gonna
idea.
go to a store and there's gonna be some salesperson who's like,
Oh
oh,
my
this
God.
style is all the rage these days. Like, can you imagine if you had to get the ring on your own without any help from me?
I mean, I can 100% imagine going into a store and the salesperson is like, okay, so what type of cut does she like? What type of, whatever. And if I didn't have, if I was like, I don't know, like they're trying to sell you an expensive diamond ring. Like they want to close the sale, right? So eventually they probably try a bunch of different things. And eventually it's like, okay, well, like if you don't know what she likes, like, what do you like? Like,
Yeah.
let's get something that you're happy with. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, so that's my little tangent. Buy your engagement rings together. It was still very romantic. Xander still proposed to me. I still enjoyed getting the ring, but I have a ring that I love. Okay, but going back to the question, I do not think it's too honest to tell your partner you don't like your engagement ring. I do think the delivery of it really matters. And so this person didn't tell us exactly how they said it, other than just like, they said, I told them it was fine, but not what I would have picked. I don't think that sounds brutal or anything like that. And I do think, again, with an engagement ring, because it's something that you are going to wear every day for the rest of your life, like you should have something that you like. Like you shouldn't have to look down at your hand and think like, it's fine, but it's not what I would have picked. So I think it's okay to share with your partner. I probably would have been a little bit gentler than this person. I wouldn't have said it the day that you proposed. I don't know exactly when the timing was that they said it, but I would have said something like, I love that you picked this ring for me. I love the thought that went behind it. I love that we are now engaged. It's not exactly my style though. And I know that we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. And I want to look down at this ring and be able to like see something that I really and truly love. So would you be open to us like going in together and choosing something different together? And you could even say to your partner, like, I can't imagine how hard that must have been to choose and to not know like exactly what I would have liked and not have my help there. Like that would have been really hard. If I was in your place, I don't think I would have chosen the exact perfect magical ring, so you can really like soften it and normalize it that way. But I think like, yeah, at the end of the day, you deserve to have a ring that you really love. So I think sharing that is something that you could share.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I think this person wasn't honest enough.
Oh.
Because they were not honest enough up front with their partner about they weren't honest enough to set them up for success. It doesn't sound like, in terms of these are the type, these are the type of cuts that I like. Here are some pictures of types of rings that I like. It sounds like this partner was unprepared. Then again, the person does at the end say, I had the expectation that it was something that my preferences would be thought of. So if I'm going to give the person asking this question the benefit of the doubt, if they feel like they did share sufficient information with their partner and their partner just disregarded it, then yeah, the discussion that you just suggested around like, hey, this doesn't really look like the things that I was showing you. And, I'm a little bummed that it feels like maybe you didn't really listen to what I said. And, I would love for us to go in together and get something that's going to be like, I'm going to feel really great about for the rest of my life.
I think the end of this poses a really interesting question. Like, is an engagement ring just for the person wearing it? Like, should their and only their preferences be taken into account? Because it sounds like the person who wrote this felt like, yeah, this is supposed to be my engagement ring for me. And their partner was thinking of it, he was thinking of it as like, it's our ring, and like I like this style, and so my preferences matter too.
This sounds like a great conversation to have when you get in or before you get engaged.
Well, but what do you think? Like, my engagement ring, is that my engagement ring or is that our engagement ring?
I guess I think of it as your engagement ring. I mean, I don't have an engagement ring.
Do you want one?
You never gave me one.
Do you want me to propose to you?
Yeah, that would be cute.
Would you wear 2 rings stacked on top of each other?
No, I'd wear it on the other hand.
Oh, you want me to
If
propose?
you got me a ring, I'd wear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like my wedding ring.
Okay. All right. A little proposal 12 years later or 14 years later. Okay. I think that an engagement ring belongs to the person who's going to be wearing it.
Well, yeah,
and I do think that their preferences should be taken into account.
Well, yeah, because like I mean, technically, if you were to break up, like it's not like you're like, all right, when we break up, we're going back to the ring. We're gonna go pawn this baby and split the proceeds.
That's another hot topic. It's like, yeah, do you have to give the ring back, or was it a gift to you? Do you own it? But yeah, I think that like, because it's something that's worn on your body, I think you should get to have the final say in it. And it's like, it's your ring, your preferences should be taken into consideration. The budget should be something joint. It shouldn't be like,
yes.
It's like, what can we afford together as a couple? Yeah. But yeah, as opposed to like, the wedding, it's like, yeah, that's supposed to be us together, both of our preferences. But something that I'm wearing on my body, like, I want it to be my choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about when we were, wedding band shopping. Like, I don't think we were ever in a situation where I was like, I love this one for me, and you were like, I hate it.
Yeah.
But, if we were in that situation, I might take that into consideration of, oh, maybe it would be a good idea for me to find one that I like that she doesn't hate, for example.
I don't love your wedding band. And I told you that when we picked it out. There was a different style that I liked better, and you were like, no, I like this one.
Yeah, okay.
I remember
Good for me
having that conversation, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. It's your ring. You're wearing it on your hand.
Yeah, I mean, it is so personal to you. You wear it every day. You see it constantly. I play with it constantly. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm happy with my wedding band.
Good. I hope you're just as happy with your engagement ring that I'm going to magically find the exact right thing for you.
I can't wait. Let's hold her accountable to this, pod friends.
Okay, here's the next one. I told my boyfriend I have to be honest about something because it is affecting our sex life. I have been less attracted to you recently because you have gained a lot of weight. It had been making me not want to have sex, and I felt mean saying it, but I'm just not attracted to overweight people. He used to keep himself in really good shape, and he just doesn't anymore. I felt bad saying it, and I didn't want to be mean. He said, I know I've gained weight, but it's hard to eat healthy and get to the gym with how busy my job is lately. I'll get back to it when work chills out. But he's said this before, and I'm growing less and less attracted to him physically. I'm not sure if I should be more harsh so he understands how much it's hurting our sex life, to the point where I'm closing my eyes pretending he's another man.
Ooh, there's a lot of honesty there that...
Xander, is this too honest?
All right, I'm just going to say, yes, I think this person, what they said and the way they said it, definitely too honest. And also the things that they're keeping in their back pocket about how they could be more harsh, that is too honest in a really hurtful and cruel way.
This is one of the worst ones to me. I think this is just outright cruel to be saying it in this way, and to be thinking about like being even harsher to your partner. Like, this is really unacceptable way to treat your partner, in my opinion. So let's get into, like, I think you and I are both in agreement that, like, the way this person said it and what they're thinking is just messed up. I also want to call out in particular saying, like, I'm just not attracted to overweight people. This reeks of fat phobia to me. I think this person, like, has some serious personal work that they need to do and some inner exploration to explore their fat phobia, where that comes from, why it's so strong for them. So I want to call that out too. And I want to talk about the gray area here, about like noticing your attraction to your partner shift. So, like I said, I do think that this question just reeks of fat phobia. And I think the more useful way for us to look at this, rather than like my partner gained weight and now I'm not attracted to them anymore, the more useful thing for us to look at is the way your partner is treating themselves. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like in this situation, and he's acknowledging this,
Yeah,
that he
which is
used
great.
to,
That there's a great way into this conversation here.
yeah, like he's acknowledging like I'm having a hard time eating healthy. I'm having a hard time getting to the gym. I've been really stressed out. I've been really busy. And so I think being able to talk to your partner, like if you see your partner not taking care of themselves in the way that they used to, and I also want to be fucking careful here because it's like, it's not like we're signing a contract saying like, I promise you that I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week for the rest of my life and only ever eat like low carb or whatever bullshit diet people are doing. Like we're allowed to have bodies that change and we're allowed to like go through tough times and, have ebbs and flows in our self-care and like our own relationship with our bodies and how we're taking care of ourselves, like all of those things. So I don't want to set this like level of, perfection and unchanging is the standard. And I also want to be realistic that like, yeah, if you were to, tomorrow sink into a depressive episode and like stop taking care of yourself and not keep up your hygiene and all kinds of stuff, like of course my attraction to you is going to be affected by that. But I think it's just like, to me, I want to encourage people to see the humanity in our partner and to see like the ways that they're struggling to take care of themselves rather than just the like, oh, he's gained 20 pounds and I don't like overweight people.
Yeah, so like instead of focusing on the attraction, like, dude, I'm not attracted to you anymore, get to the fucking gym. Like instead of focusing on the attraction, I mean, really the honest and caring thing to do is focus on the, like the attraction is a symptom of the issue. Like focus on the actual, like the root cause of the issue. It sounds like this person is really struggling. They're super busy and they don't have time to eat healthy. So how could talk about how could I support you? How could I better support you in are there things that I could do to help you, to remind you to eat healthier? Or because it sounds like this person wants to eat healthier. Even like, how could I support? Could I like help prepare lunch? Could I get, healthier snacks at the store? Or like, hey, on the weekend, like, let's go, like, how about like we go on a hike together, or we go to the gym, we do something physical together. I think there are a lot of ways that you could be supportive and even talk about like, hey, it's hard to see how hard you're working right now. I see you're running. I can see how ragged you're running yourself, and I want to,
Yeah, I would focus more on the emotion of it rather than the fucking like healthy snacks or going to the gym kind of stuff. It's just like how is this boyfriend like actually doing? It sounds like he's in a really tough place in his life. And this is exactly what I mean about like seeing our partner's humanity. Like, who gives a fuck about your attraction if your partner is like really struggling with something? Like, to me, that just feels really selfish to be so fixated on your partner's physical appearance.
Yeah, it's like a transactional. It's like a transactional.
Yeah,
kind of
rather than like the human being who sounds like he's struggling. And like we've heard this from other, even more extreme examples of this. Of like, I don't know what his mental health status is exactly like, but we've heard from other people where it's like, yeah, my partner has sunk into a depressive episode, and it's like that matters more. That matters more than like the attractiveness. And like, yes, you're human, your attraction to your partner is going to be affected. That's okay. But it's just like, I think we need to focus more on the emotions and the actual experience that our partner is having, rather than just going in for like, I need you to go to the gym and lose weight. Like that's just, there's no compassion here.
Yeah. All right. We're on to our last one, Vanessa. My now husband told me when we were dating that I wasn't his type and he wasn't attracted to me at first. He then described his typical type. To be fair, I asked at that point, which is nothing like me. We were set up on a blind date and had never seen each other before, so sure, there is some element of surprise involved, but his telling me made me super insecure. We are married now and have 2 kids, and I still think about it.
Too honest.
Yeah, too honest. Yeah, like, well, yeah, what good? Like, what were you hoping to achieve?
No, okay. I will put myself into the brain of this husband, and I think in a very boneheaded way, what he was trying to say is, you're so beautiful and unique and special that I was attracted to you despite you not being my usual type.
Though this is like this is like from the last season of Love Is Blind, the guy that was like thinking that he was trying to tell his partner that like he likes her better without makeup. The whole makeup thing. Oh my God. What a disaster.
Yeah, this was the absolute wrong way to give your partner a compliment. Like, I really do think that he was probably trying to give her a compliment.
Or he might have been trying to say, he might have been trying to be like a little like self-deprecating a bit of like, oh man, like I used to have such a type, and like I never pictured myself with somebody that wasn't outside this very specific type that you obviously are not anything like. But once I met you on that blind date, like then I became so attracted to you. You know, I think it's fine to be like, oh, at first I kind of was thrown for a loop because up until then I had only dated people that looked this one way. I never considered that I might date someone else.
I also, just side note, but I think having a type is so stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess it's because I don't have one. I mean, if you lined up all the people I've dated all together, it would make no sense.
If you lined up all the people, almost all the people I've dated, or like all the people I've been in relationships with, you would notice one striking trend.
Height. Xander's got a short fetish.
But here's the funny thing is that I don't actually feel like I don't identify with like, oh, I'm attracted to short women.
You kind of do.
What do you mean? But I'm not like, oh yeah, she's so short.
No, you get pretty into how short I am. You're like, oh, you're so little.
Well, it's just it's a
oh,
striking.
You're so tiny.
It's quite striking sometimes. Like when I can't kiss you.
You got a little bit of a thing for it. Okay, but going back to this, yeah, like there's no reason to like, don't ever tell somebody you're not my type if you're actually trying to like give them a compliment and tell them you're attracted to them. Like it's just not a good way to say it. Just say to them like, you're so attractive. I've never met anybody like you. Like you're so unique. Anything like that is fine, but like, yeah, don't bring in the type.
Yeah, well, but also it's like the way it's written too. It's like if you weren't attracted to someone at first, but then you are attracted to them, who the fuck cares that you weren't attracted at first? Like you are now. Like the important thing is that you are attractive now. So.
Oh, wait, though. I'm just going back and rereading this, and I'm realizing I missed this one, that he actually said he wasn't attracted to me at first. Okay, I totally missed that. I thought that he was just saying, you're not my normal type.
Oh, no.
Okay, this makes it even worse. Oh, my God,
yeah,
no.
I was trying to be real kind to him and be like, maybe he was trying to be like...
No, do not ever tell your partner you weren't attracted to them at first. That's just mean. That's so mean.
Not cool.
Oh my God, this is way worse than I thought it was. I can't believe I somehow skipped over that very important part. Yeah, this is terrible. Don't tell them that. Even if it was just like, you weren't my type, like not my typical type, that in and of itself is just not valuable to tell your partner. But to tell your partner that you weren't attracted to them is just mean, unnecessary. What the fuck were you hoping for? What kind of reaction did you think you were going to have? Like, that's just straight up boneheaded.
And I mean, I think that, that is messed up that your partner said that to you. And I totally get that, you know, whatever, marriage and 2 kids later, you're still thinking about it. I think that this is if you're finding yourself not getting over that, which is totally understandable, like, I think that it could be really valuable to go to at least a couple sessions of couples therapy to just talk this through. Cause it sounds like, you know, he may not understand the impact, the true impact of that. And there may be some more repair that can be done. I can't promise you that like you're going to forget that it happened, but I think this is a sign that there's a little more work to do on this.
All right. Well, that wraps up our hot takes on how honest is too honest. Please let us know if you liked this episode, because we have a ton of other stories that we got that we are not, kind of ran out of time to cover. So let us know if you like this. If you want us to do another one, come over to Instagram. We're at Vanessa and Xander. Let us know what you think. And we want to share some very exciting news with you. We are coming up on that crazy time of the year, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and we have some super fun things that we are doing. So we decided on Black Friday, we are going to release some
Well, we're going to tell
codes.
you right now, because, if you're listening to this on release day, it's Thursday. Hell yeah to you.
Black Friday is tomorrow.
Yeah, you're listening to this on Thanksgiving.
No, Wednesday. We're releasing this
we're
day
releasing
early.
this day early. Okay, well, you are a real super fan. You are, traveling to Thanksgiving. You're prepping for Thanksgiving, and you're listening to Pillow Talks. So
Gold star.
So yeah, you are such a gold star that we want to tell you all the deeds on our special sale. No one else is getting this information until day of.
Okay, so here's what we're doing. We are having 3 tiers of discounts and a limited number of the first 2 tiers.
So you got to act fast.
So we have 169, had to have our favorite number in there, 169 25% off codes.
For anything.
269 20% off codes for any
for anything
guide,
that we sell.
course we offer. The Ultimate Foreplay Guides, Next Level Intercourse, our Sex Challenge, Connection Challenge, Art of Initiation. We have so much good stuff. And then we're also going to be doing some 15% off codes.
Those are unlimited. So
unlimited.
once the 20 and 25% run out, it's just, go balls to the wall with 15%.
But
off.
obviously, you want the 25% off codes, right?
You do.
Who doesn't want that
So
discount?
we're going to tell you how you can make sure you're first in line to get them.
Here's the cheat code. You have to get on our email list. So our email subscribers are going to get those codes at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Friday.
Yeah, we're sending out the email at 8 a.m. And so it takes maybe about half an hour for all the emails to go through. So we send the email out at 8. We open it at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's when the codes will become active. So you'll have the codes in advance of that, either, between 30 to 60 minutes in advance. But then at 9 a.m. on the dot, we'll activate those codes, and the first 169 people get those 25% off. So you can start thinking about what you want to get, which course you want to get, and be ready to go at 9 a.m. Pacific on Black Friday.
Okay, so to get on our email list, just go over to vmtherapy.com/subscribe. That's vmtherapy.com/subscribe. Recommend doing it right away so you can make sure you get the confirmation email, make sure you're on our list. Sometimes our emails go to the spam folder because they contain words like sex and orgasm. So keep an eye on your spam folder. Move our emails into your primary tab if you have Gmail, so you make sure you see it. But yeah, only our email subscribers are going to get that heads up on the codes. And we will also tell you, we did this discount, this whole little thing 2 years ago, and the 25% off codes,
they go fast.
Were gone in minutes.
Yeah, you got to be ready. You got to be ready.
Less than 5 minutes. So you got to be ready. Get on that email list. We are doing more codes this time around because we want it to last a little bit longer than 3 minutes. But you got to get on that email list, vmtherapy.com/subscribe. And if you are listening to this after Black Friday,
or maybe after 9 a.m. Pacific on Black Friday,
we're just going to say, get on the email list anyways. We might have some other surprises coming. So get on that list. All right, and make sure you are following Pillow Talks because we have some highly requested episodes coming up that you won't want to miss. So to follow, you just need to head to the main podcast page where it lists all of the episodes. You'll see the word follow under the logo on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts, you'll see the follow with a plus sign button in the top right. So make sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen to it.
All right, that's it for today's episode of Pillow Talks. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next week when we talk about why we make out every single night and why you might want to consider doing the same.